Omaha Zoo Railroad's Union Pacific 119 is a 30-inch gauge replica of the Union Pacific 119, and there's a standard gauge replica of the 119 up in Promontory, Utah, where the two locos met in Promontory in May 1869. And I will get to that part in a moment, but this locomotive was built by Crown Metal Products in 1968 in Wayano, Pennsylvania, and that's the same year Omaha Zoo Railroad started running, and it was the only locomotive on the Omaha Zoo Railroad till a second one came to the Omaha Zoo Railroad in 1974. And this locomotive is a 440 American type, and also the Omaha Zoo Railroad's 119 was built and to resemble the standard gauge replica 119, which is up in Promontory, Utah, where the last spike was driven in May 1869. And oftentimes there they do the reenactments where the last spike gets driven, and as that's when they show you how it's been done since May 1869, and is located at Golden Spike National Historic Site. Also, the Transcontinental Railroad's Union Pacific line started here in Omaha as well, and Central Pacific's line started in Sacramento, California. This replica of 119 was originally painted black, white, and red. It emerged resplendent in a beautiful historical accurate scheme of crimson, maroon, and olive green, with a boiler jacketing of simulated Russia iron and a new stained wood cab replicating one on the original Union Pacific locomotive was also fitted. Also, by 2012, this locomotive was overhauled and the drive wheels were taken to Strasburg, Pennsylvania to be worked on in the Strasburg Railroad shops. And then Omaha Zoo Railroad's Union Pacific 119 returned to service in May 2013 and is once again ran again. 119 hauled 4 cars on Henry Dorley's track normally when it came to the zoo and hauled visitors around, and it appeared that it hauls 5 cars on days it runs, but not actually, but sometimes though. Also, Omaha Zoo's 119 is known to be Omaha Zoo Railroad's crown jewel, and one of the zoo's crown jewel, as it is seen on info cards, maps, or before seeing a movie at the IMAX theater as well. Surry, Sussex, and Southampton 6 was built by Baldwin in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania in 1891 and is the 122/88 steam locomotive built by that factory and is a 260 mogul type steam locomotive. Surry, Sussex, and Southampton 6 was once a logging locomotive in force for the Surry, Sussex, and Southampton Railway in Dendron, Virginia, and originally had a straight stack, extended smoke box, box-style kerosene headlight, and a vertical stave pilot. In 1899, the locomotive was converted to burn coal. In 1903, the original headlight was replaced with a 2-inch smaller box headlight. The headlight was again replaced in 1913, but this time with a round case. However, the size remained the same. Sometime before 1914, the original Baldwin straight-capped stack was replaced with a Venturi-shaped cast stack, and the plate pilot wheel replaced with a spoked pilot wheel. Then in 1925, Surry, Sussex, and Southampton 6 was retired, and it was held on to by the factory that built it, and then in 1936 was used for the Argent Lumber Company in Hardyville, South Carolina, and retained its original number. And the locomotive went back to burning wood and added with iron cab and Rushton stack, which is a balloon-shaped smokestack. In 1955, it suffered a crown sheet failure and the engine crew lost their lives, but the engine was soon rebuilt. Then the locomotive was then put for sale at a railroad auction in Georgia, and the locomotive was one of the first two steam locomotives bought by the Midwest Central Railroad in Mount Pleasant, Iowa in 1960, and then moved to McMillan Park in Mount Pleasant, Iowa, and is the first locomotive to operate on the Midwest Central Railroad and was the main rod engine until 1971 when it was taken out of service. In 1988, it came out of one of the most in-depth rebuilds in the country. Also, Surry, Sussex, and Southampton 6 is named Maria as well. Also, Surry, Sussex, and Southampton 6 was then used operating on the Midwest Central Railroad in Mount Pleasant, Iowa, and hauling visitors around as one of the steam engines of Midwest Central Railroad. Surry, Sussex, and Southampton 6 was originally built to burn wood, and it still burnt wood when it came to live in Mount Pleasant, then later was converted to burn oil. Then in 2008, Surry, Sussex, and Southampton 6 went out of service for an overhaul just for a couple of years, and then in 2010, Surry, Sussex, and Southampton 6 operated on Midwest Central Railroad's tracks once again after a 2-year absence. Also, Surry, Sussex, and Southampton 6 appeared in the 2010 movie Dogjack, and one of the movie locations was at McMillan Park in Mount Pleasant. In 2016, a part on the running gear on the engineer's side produced a crack, and then it was soon welded back together. Also today, Surry, Sussex, and Southampton 6 is like the only remaining Surry, Sussex, and Southampton 260 today, and is one of 4 surviving Argent Lumber Company 260s remaining in New Berlin and Winfield 2, and Argent Lumber Company 1 can be seen here at Midwest Central Railroad in Mount Pleasant with it, and this one can be seen operating on Midwest Central Railroad's tracks during operations of Midwest Central Railroad. As well as that, Argent Lumber Company 3 is down at the Southern Forests World Museum adjacent to the Okefenokee Heritage Center down in Waycross, Georgia, and is the only 260 from Argent that isn't in the fleet of Midwest Central. Also, Surry, Sussex, and Southampton 6 is also known to be the oldest operating steam locomotive in the state of Iowa as well, and also the oldest locomotive on the Midwest Central Railroad as well. What you see right behind me is Denver and Rio Grande 683. Denver and Rio Grande 683 was built by Baldwin in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania in 1890 and is the 11,207th steam locomotive built by that factory and is a 280 consolidation type steam locomotive and is a C28 class steam locomotive. Denver and Rio Grande 683 was once used on the Denver and Rio Grande Railroad and was originally numbered as 583. In 1924, the locomotive was renumbered as Denver and Rio Grande 683, which it is presently. Then in 1947, it was sold to the San Luis Valley Southern Railway Company and numbered as 106 in Blanca, Colorado. In 1955, Denver and Rio Grande 683 had been retired and sat idle in an abandoned engine house for several years. Then in 1963 was moved to the Colorado Railroad Museum in Golden, Colorado, where it is today, and it used to stand by the depot with 2 green coaches. And if you ever saw a picture of it on the internet with green coaches and pictures shown next to the depot, you could say it looks like the locomotive is pulling into the station with the passenger train, and that's what I think also. Also, Denver and Rio Grande 683's other tender is currently in storage in Denver, Colorado. Also, Denver and Rio Grande 683 was nearly scrapped, but escaped the torch and still survives today. Also, Denver and Rio Grande 683's tender with the number 583 is in a storage yard in Denver, Colorado somewhere. And the tender it presently has is its 1920s tender when it was numbered 683, which it is presently. And also, Denver and Rio Grande 683 is the only remaining standard gauge Denver and Rio Grande steam engine left in the world today, and of all the surviving Denver and Rio Grande 280 surviving today, the other 9 are all narrow gauge. And also, 683's cab was open to the public when it stood next to the depot. I'm unsure if it is still open, but I guess so, but I'm not sure. And I think you can also go inside the cab and ring the locomotive's bell, but I'm not sure about that at this point. I'd have to check. That would be really a good idea to see if it is okay, even if you are really concerned about it. But I don't think there seems to be a problem with going in the cab. It looks fine, though. And that's how it's done. A lot of you may have also noticed that Denver and Rio Grande 683 is seen on the MLTG title pick of Matthew Lap Train Guy segment show. And also, as you can see, it is on the title pick because it is a memoriam to my grandpa Olson. And he loved trains very much, and he worked for Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy as a mail train worker, and he's also a veteran that was in war. He fought in the Korean War. shows it to be on the title pic. And it didn't look like this when it happened. It started, as you could see the difference with me on it. You could see this brick platform, the station building it stood next to, this green grass, and hill, and trees, and sky, and all these people, and this bench, signal pole and such. And in 2014, I soon made a plan to make it look like this, with steam, globe headlight creating steam coming out the tunnel, puffing down the tracks, and with this red in the background as well. And yeah, like if you heard what was said in the during the background videos, if this locomotive had been sent for scrap years ago, then this show would never have been planned out by me. But thank goodness it is saved from the torch, and it is here preserved at the Colorado Railroad Museum in Golden today, and I like how that is.